This is Jay Mullins with Mallard and Service. I'm standing on the top of the tallest building in downtown Atlanta, Bank of America. You are listening to Control Talk Now with Eric Stromquist and Ken Smyers.
Hey, welcome to Control Talk Now. This is your host, Eric Stromquist, and as usual, I am joined by that man, that myth, that legend, the one, the only, Kenny Smyers from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Hey, Kenny, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Eric. Again, I appreciate that grandiose introduction. Sounds like I'm in the fighter ring now. I'm ready to go. Ding.
Well, we kind of are, buddy. And I tell you what, speaking of the rings, hey, man, it's kind of nice to be back home. For most of our listeners, you know, we were in Arizona 2 weeks ago. We were broadcasting from the desert. And last week, I was down at the Belimo Platinum meeting in the Grand Cayman. So it's kind of good to be back in the studio where we've got our equipment, even though, as you know, Kenny, we spent the last 2 hours trying to get online here. So the equipment's not working quite the way we'd hoped it would. But this is sort of life for me and you on Sundays. While the rest of the world sleeps or tailgates in the fall, you and I are trying to make Skype work and all this technical equipment. It's a good thing we like this, Kenny. Otherwise, we'd have a really hard time doing this every week. So, but hey, you know, Kenny, again, special thanks to Johnson Controls. Really great hospitality out there. You know, as you know, they actually paid a professional videographer to follow us around and shoot videos. They took really good care of us. So we're getting that footage in. I'll be editing that up this week and next week and be posting it. So thanks to Johnson for that. What a treat to have a professional following us around and shooting videos. So looking forward to that footage. And then Belimo, what a great event that was, Kenny, down at the Grand Cayman. You know, your brother Tom was down there. You and I are both Belimo Platinum distributors, so we really liked that a lot. So, but back in the studio, and for our podcast listeners, that's the reason you did get a podcast the last 2 weeks is the audio quality wasn't quite up to snuff for a podcast, so we'll get this one back up. So those of you who listen to Control Talk Now on a podcast, you'll get a live episode now. Encourage you to go back and check the last 2 episodes out on video. So, Kenny, also want to thank Jay Mullins from Mallard and Service for that fantastic introduction atop the Bank of America building in Atlanta, Georgia. We had a really nice big Honeywell project with Jay and the team at Mallard and Evans. So thanks to Bill Flynn, Jay Mullins for that really cool footage. So I don't know about you, buddy. I don't know that I could have gotten up on that building and not totally freaked out.
That's pretty high up there. We have a building like that, U.S. Steel building, and we have gone up there with tours and whatnot, and it's scary. It's 800, 900 feet up in the air. It'll catch your attention.
It'll definitely get your attention. All right, so Kenny, let's get busy. What do we have up first this week?
All right, Eric. First up is the sponsor for Control Talk Now, week ending October 20th, is Control Co. Company with Terry Turner, Brian Turner, Bridget, and their staff. Quick intro to Control Co. Control Co. is one of the largest distributors in the country, Western United States, premier distributor of automation systems for a broad spectrum of industrial and commercial clients. Control Co. has extensive experience in the energy management, energy services field, and hundreds of customers. They do everything. They bring it all. They got major manufacturers. They stock Maxon, FireEye, Honeywell, Tritium, you name it. Control Co. has it, and we welcome everybody to visit their site at www.controlco.com. And a special hello to Andy, Bridget, Brian, and of course Terry.
Well, absolutely, Kenny. And the great news for us is Control Co. came on as a platinum sponsor for the 2013 Control Trends Awards. Our first distributor sponsor, and not only did they come on, Kenny, they came on in a big way. Can't say enough about Control Co. Terry's been around for years. He's considered one of the really sharp minds in our industry. He sort of bridges the gap between the older like me and you and the newer people in the industry. But Terry is a very well respected individual in this company, in this industry, and of course Brian Turner is one of the really great minds regarding tritium and FireEye, just a super, super bright guy. They've got some great products out there, both on the building automation side and on the industrial side. So great company. Encourage you to check those guys out. And hey, Terry, Brian, Bridget, thank you so much for the sponsorship. We really appreciate it. We will see you guys in New York. Get ready for a big time there. So again, thanks to those guys. Kenny, what do we have up first?
All right, Eric. Well, going to business as usual. The first post is gas pressure regulators. It's a nice Stromquist post regarding some of the lines that Stromquist carries, and we carry as well. This is the season, and it's a great post because it gives you the two primary reasons why gas regulators fail, and they're either incorrectly sized or they're installed incorrectly, and you got to use those filters to protect that gas regulator from getting those contaminants inside the line. And why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, as you know, Kenny, we, like you, saw a lot of gas pressure regulators, and as Matt Koenig, one of our engineers, says in the very first part of this video, the one thing all gas pressure regulators have in common, if you don't install them correctly, they're not going to work, or they're not going to work well. So Matt lays out the piping diagram about how to pipe a regulator correctly, as well as best practices for filtering. And hey, it's definitely worth checking out. We reposted that this time of year because as people begin to crank up their heating systems, the regulators might be failing and they might need to be replaced. So no matter where you get your gas pressure regulators, it's worth taking the 3.5 minutes or whatever to check Matt's video out.
And like Matt reminds us, there's 4 things you need to know with a regulator: inlet pressure, outlet pressure, total capacity, and line size. So to get started, make sure you know those 4 things. They get strong.
Absolutely, Kenny. And a little bit, a word on that, a little bit with gas regulators like water valves or HVAC control valves. Typically, if sized properly, the regulator of the valve typically is going to be a little bit smaller than the line size. A lot of people will make the mistake of going, I got a 2-inch line, therefore I need a 2-inch gas pressure regulator or 2-inch valve. So you're really right. You take that capacity, inlet pressure, outlet pressure, and your local distributor can definitely get you the right sized regulator. Watch the video. You'll know how to install it correctly.
All right, Eric. Next up, we have Honeywell continues leadership role in open ADR. And they introduced the Comfort Point Gateway that got certified by the Open ADR Alliance, and it's a really neat post. It comes up as 3 slides. It has Honeywell and the history of Open ADR, Honeywell's participation year by year, and this is something we got our teeth on a while back, and it's just growing right in front of us. We're seeing the Open ADR develop, we're seeing the Alliance develop, we're seeing products become certified, and we have a special information. We're primarily addressing everything towards residential and thermostats. We got our hands on a great source that will give people an opportunity. If they put their a request in the comments section, we'll forward them a 108-page white paper on typical workflow for implementing demand response strategies from one of our major manufacturers. But the Honeywell Comfort Point is going more towards the commercial sector. When you have residential sector, you go through the dynamic pricing programs, time of use, critical peak pricing, real-time pricing, and peak time rebates. Then you get to commercial sector, it gets a little bit more interesting because there's strategies. We'll post this, and we recommend everybody visit it because it's just too much to go over in a Control Talk Now post. But there's 10 strategies available for people in the business. The zone temperature is obviously one, duct static pressure set points one, supplier temperature, limiting the fan VFDs. So there's a great plug to sell VFDs and being consistent with a open ADR program. Increasing chilled water temperature supply, limiting the cold water cooling valve position, restricting chiller operation, dimming the lighting level, turning off the lights, and pre-cooling buildings. Great post, and we'll have more on that. We have another ADR post later on the show.
Well, Kenny, I really want to commend you for that. You've really, really been tracking that. And, of course, this white paper that you can leave your name and comments, and Kenny will send you a copy of, is phenomenal. But, people like Honeywell and Nest and Ecobee and some of these other people, and people we haven't even heard of, have been working behind the scenes, to get implemented for the ADR type program. And I think it's a story we, as distributors and contractors, want to follow, because I'm not sure that this is necessarily going to go through distribution or typical type contractors. So this could be sort of a whole structural change But the one thing we're pretty sure of, Kenny, is automated demand response is here to stay. There's going to be more of it, not less of it. And as you've told us in the past, in California now, for instance, buildings that are 10,000 square foot and above, it's mandatory that they're set up to be able to do automated demand response. Effective
1 January 2014, Eric. It's a big thing, yes.
So, I mean, that's great for us that are in the energy. That's great for us people that are in the energy business in terms of being distributors or building automation contractors. But again, if that bypasses past our channel, that could not necessarily be a good thing for most of the people that are in the Control Trends community. So Kenny, keep up with that and appreciate the great job on that.
All right, next up is our first visitor to Control Talk Now, Laura Conklin from Functional Devices. Just a little bit on Functional Devices. They have a very impressive periphery line to support building automation and the HVAC industry with its relays, wireless devices, current sensors and current sensor relays, power controls, power supplies, transformers, enclosures, accessories. And I have one product that's really unique that it's a Bacnet MST network relay device. It gives you one binary output, two binary inputs. So you get a current sensor and dry contact. Basically, it's MST, so you select it, you have all your dip switches. And what it really works and how we've sold these things is that you're running out of points on one of your controllers. It's a great rescue device to get those points onto the network without costing you another controller.
Really, really cool, Kenny. And of course, Functional Devices, I mean, all of us know the relay in a box. I mean, I think that's the product they're most known for. So really, really great organization. Looks like they're on the ballot to be nominated for the best small peripheral manufacturer for the 2013 Control Trends Awards, which we'll talk a little bit more about in the show. But hey, welcome to the show, Laura Conklin, Functional Devices. Laura, thanks so much.
Thanks, guys. It's great to be here today.
Functional Devices has so many cool, innovative products, and you guys have now sort of delved into the realm of power supplies and added your touch to that.
We make some really good products here with the relays and current sensors, but also with power supplies. And since we have come out with the PSH 500, 300, and 200, we have seen a lot of interest in those products. Now, the 300 and the 500 are more for your VAV applications, each having isolated sources at 100 VA, and they have their own on-off switch circuit breaker, so the other sources do not get affected if you need to work on that particular area that's hooked up at that source. Now the PSH 200 has 540 VA sources, so that's more for your like zone control. If you have 5 zones you want to control, and maybe don't need as much VA power, but the 300 and 500 are really good for, like I said, for those VAV applications.
So, Laura, you guys got a really unique product that solves the problem of high voltage panels where you have arcing in the panels, which can be very dangerous. Tell us a little bit about that product.
Yes, arc flash by definition is an undesired type of explosion that can cause serious damage not only to the equipment but also to the person working on that equipment. So what we're trying to do here at Functional Devices is make an enclosure where the high and low voltage are separated, which you'll see in the picture on the screen here in a second. But the idea behind separating the voltages is that you don't have to put that suit on for protection if you need to go into the low voltage compartment. It also saves the end user, the person working on it, time and productivity, because they don't have to take the time to suit up and go in. They're also protected with that separation. So we have stuff being built. We should hope to have all of these changed over here in the next month or so. So next time I'm on the show, maybe I can have an actual sample here, but we wanted to show you through the picture.
Okay, there you have it, Laura Conklin. Okay, Kenny, what do we have up next?
All right, next up was a post by Honeywell, improved order process for Honeywell valve assemblies. You're seeing some really, really great products coming out. I think the competition between the colors, the red, the orange, the green, the blue. Everybody's coming up with more engineered products that make life easier for contractors and make distributors more effective and more efficient, because you've got these sizing tools, and then you've got the ordering tools, you've got QR codes. So if you run out of, you don't have information, if they got an iPhone and they're connected, boom, they get the installation information, get these things tagged in advance. Honeywell's just come down, they streamlined the ordering process, and they provide a very competitive line of pre-assembled valve actuator assemblies.
Well, Honeywell's on the move with that, and you're right, Kenny. I mean, that is becoming more and more, as we'll see later with the Johnson Asset Tool and some other people, some products manufacturers are coming out. It's not enough now just to have a great product. People are paying more attention now to the cost that it takes to size or estimate or even order these jobs. So very nice job from Honeywell on that. And speaking of Honeywell, let's take a minute and do our Honeywell Momentum on Tour update. So, Kenny, I was talking with Dan Sin the other day. Honeywell kicked off their Momentum on Tour in Minneapolis. He said it was a big success. I know they were last week. I know they were up at our friend M&M, Pat Marcellus' place in Baltimore. So, listen, we know when they're coming to Atlanta on October 29th. We've got a really nice response on that so far. I think they're coming to Pittsburgh, too. Any news on that yet, when you guys are going to do your show?
Yes, November 20th. In fact, just give the highlights. They did Minneapolis, Minnesota, Minvalco on 10-3, Control Depot in Omaha, Nebraska, 10-9, Cochrane in Cleveland, Ohio, 10-10, Yorkland Controls in Toronto, Ontario on 10-15, M&M Controls again, Baltimore, Maryland, 10-16, Brody Precision, Philadelphia, 10-17, and M Controls, Seattle, Washington, 10-17 as well. So there's more than one truck on the road. But, and Geno Supply was also 10-23. Control Products, Houston, Texas, 10-23, as well as Universal Supply in Hawthorne, New Jersey, 10-23. But what's really cool here, Eric, is that the MOT, the Momentum on Tour, is a new concept by Honeywell to shotgun all the new products. Take the products, take the mountain to the people, and let them visit the mountain right there in front of their distributors. And the distributors can they coordinate with the specifying engineers, their contractor customers, and you're right there on top of the products with the product manager. So you got some expertise that can discuss applications, get things specified. So it's a real cool concept. And rather than send the marketing literature out there and all the market collateral that gets pitched, and people they're overwhelmed with paper products. So having people products, or people orienting people on products, is a new concept, and we wish them well. And we're looking forward to them coming to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I tell you, Kenny, it is a great new concept, and I wonder if it's going to catch. I think of the rock and roll tours, and I'm thinking of James Brown being the hardest working man in show business, or Bruce Springsteen with, his epic tours where different city every night. It almost has a feel like that to it. And I wonder if that's going to become a new trend, because it really is a great way to get updated on a vendor without having to go to a conference and spend all the time and money there when it comes to a local city near you. So, hey, congratulations to Amy Anderson and Honeywell for this unique concept. So we'll keep you posted on that, but be sure to check out Honeywell's Momentum on Tour.
And by the way, Eric, I just want to compliment you on that artistic presentation. That's neat stuff. I think we'll see more of that in the future, but well done, and another hats off to Control Trends.
Well, hey, I can't take credit for that. Our guy, Sayan Johnson, who's on our marketing team at Stromquist, actually put that together. So I'll pass that compliment right on to Sayan, the Jamaican sensation, Johnson.
Well done, Sayan. All right, next up was Control School, smoke detectors. The 411 on smoke detectors, that's another unsung product. That's every building, every commercial building has several of them on the AHUs, and they're thankless, vigilant, participants of our codes and our safety. We sell tons of them. We used to sell a lot more. Now they come in on OEM equipment, but we, of course, have a great stock of them. Why don't you tell us about the concept of 411, how that's going to be something that our Control Trends organization, our community members are going to see more of. It's a cool concept. And tell us a little bit about that post.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the post was a training class that Lisa Shoulders from System Sensors actually did. And, you know, Kenny, as you know and our audience knows, more and more people are posting videos and training classes just because that way people can, if they can't attend an event, they can at least get it on their own time schedule. So this was a fantastic training class that System Sensor did. We are going to sort of roll this into Control School. Again, part of what Control Trends does to do is to sort of cull through the massive amount of information that's out there and try to bring that, you know, just what's sort of germane to our Control Trends community, what we think they're going to really like. So you can go to Control Trends and find information that is hopefully, you know, what you're looking for. So as we find really great classes like the one that System Sensors did, we're going to bring them in. We're going to call the concept Control School, give you the 411 on things that you need to know to be successful or safe in this industry.
Again, tell the listeners out there that we have the ability to, you can go to controltrends.org and see these videos anytime, day or night. They're in a library index format, and so they're very helpful. If you're out there, or service guys out there, and he needs to get some sort of orientation or just wants to get a reminder or even preparation for a project that they're going to work on, visit controltrends.org and take a look at the library there and find something that will be helpful to you.
Absolutely, Kenny. Okay, Kenny, the other thing I want to mention real quick is, as you know, we've got ControlBid up and rocking and rolling, and ControlBid is like eBay for controls. It's a place if you have surplus inventory or temporary overstocked inventory, you can put it up on ControlBid. People can bid on it. You can have a buy now price. It's very, very much like eBay, but much easier to use. We don't charge listing fees. You don't have to worry about relisting. But one of the really cool features on there is a place where people can list items they are looking for. So one of the items that's up on ControlBid right now that somebody is looking for, Kenny, is a Fluke 902 True RMS HVAC meter. So if you happen to have one of those on the shelf, you can go to controlbid.com, see who's looking for that, and maybe you can connect on that particular device. We also have a vendor that put up some surplus, or I think this is old, it's actually Siemens automation control stuff. They have an MBC processor that's a Mary Baker Charles processor, part number 545701. I don't know what that is, but this particular person has some surplus Siemens stuff. So if you have some old Siemens stuff and you're looking for some parts and pieces, you can find that up on controlbid.com. So every week we'll have a featured item or two on ControlBid. So if you haven't listed your excess inventory, your surplus dead stock on ControlBid, go ahead and do that. And once a week we'll pick out a featured item. So that's my advertisement for controlbid.com for the week. Okay, Kenny, what's up next?
All right, next up is a new easy way to program EasyIO controllers. We got some great information from Mike Marston about the folks from Down Under, a gentleman named Chris Schneider, and it's just the nuts and bolts on how they use their open BMCS and Bartek. Actually, I think the company's Bartek, I'm sorry. But he just does a nice run-through on an alternative way to program EasyIO controllers.
Well, it is a really cool concept. And I think where it's really takes hold is somebody that maybe doesn't have a job big enough to use a Jace and that doesn't want to buy a Workbench. And I think it really plays very, very well into Mike Marston's controller because, as you know, the Beast from the East is one of those products that's targeting the smaller spaces. So this is a really cool idea. And speaking of Mike Marston, I think, yep, okay, it looks like we got Mike on the show. Hey, Mike, welcome to the show. Mike Marston from EasyIO.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, so Mike, where are you this week, buddy?
Today, you join me from India. As you can see out there, it's a beautiful day here in Bombay. I think just over there is Bollywood, the Indian equivalent of Hollywood.
India, that's really, really cool. Okay, well, Mike, talk a little bit about, some of the things you're seeing with, you travel all around the world. EasyIO does business all around the world. How is it different in other countries?
And what we're seeing is open tools now coming onto the market. They give you a choice, different entry levels into the BAS business and the automation business. In India, it's quite interesting. We do business all over the place, do a lot of blue chip work. The blue chip companies over here insist on 32-bit DDC, very high resolution on the analogs, and also they insist on Ethernet cable, even for the DDCs, which definitely is the way of the future. So we're working at the moment with the Cisco head office in Bangalore. We're working with Vodafone, Renaissance Group, and all kinds of blue chip clients over here. So the EasyIO message is going totally worldwide. I think all companies have really lifted their performance. I think controls are getting better, getting more powerful. And will EasyIO be leading that? Well, we hope so. And we'll, I guess we're all friends at the end of the day. We're all enjoying what we do. And different customers have different needs, different views. It's a free world. And what I like about getting around to see everybody, like here in India, I get to see really people's development cycles, their needs, their insistence on certain standards and certain performance levels. I see basically the same protocols have been asked for now. It's mainly Bacnet around the world that we see, and then of course it's web services when you start talking about the enterprise.
Mike, can you tell us a little bit about Chris Schneider's technology? Again, we know that there's a certain amount of disruptive technology present and growing in our industry. Is this another one of those disruptive technologies?
And what we're seeing is open tools now coming onto the market. They give you a choice, different entry levels into the BAS business and the automation business. As the market develops more, as we become more IT-based, and certainly as we start to use more, iPad devices, mobile devices, I think we're totally now driven by web browsers. So yeah, I think what OpenBMCS have done is, gone the whole way now to an embedded HTML5 server where you can actually do wiresheets and graphics from your iPad. Now, people have been asking me for a long time for that, and it's been very difficult because we've had to rely on plugins and Windows type-based solutions, which make it difficult. I think the days of plugins and without, pure open source HTML, I think it's going to be difficult. I don't think it'll change overnight, but I think you'll see all the major companies go in the same direction. So, I congratulate Chris Schneider, what he's done with his group. It's nice to see a company from down under really changing the world. And yes, I do think they'll be very successful. And what's interesting about this is we have no control over Chris or his company. He's free to sell to our competitors. And we believe the future is really, we just have to be faster and smarter and more innovative. We have to listen more. And I believe the CPT tool also will, go to competitors. I think the whole thing's going to open up. I think the market's going to grow as well. In countries like this, in India, you've got a huge amount of development going on out there. In China, then you can have the US, coming back online, solving all the current, political issues and finance issues, whatever they may be. I'm still very optimistic for the future.
All right, there you have it. Mike Marston, EasyIO.
All right, next up, Eric, was 2012 Control Trends Awards Highlight, the PID Award. We see Roger Rebanak. Looks like he just scored a touchdown, and he's got the award trophy held up proudly in hand. And I think it's just an exciting way to us to call the end of the nomination period and tell a little bit what's coming. Why don't you tell us about the logarithms and some of the munching, crunching going on right now with all the numbers and figures, facts, and an exciting announcement somewhere in the near future.
Well, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. So Roger won the 2012 Control Trends PID Award, which is Passion, Integrity, and Dedication. And those of us who know Roger is got to be one of the most passionate people in our industry. So yeah, it was a great watching Roger win that award, and so check that out, because Roger definitely is passionate, has integrity, has the dedication. So congratulations again to Roger on that. And as you guys know, if you follow Control Trends and the Control Trends Awards, the nomination period actually ended last week. Ken and I are going through the process now of checking the nominations out, going through all the ballots, making sure that everything's copacetic, and working that out. So we are going to have a very, very special announcement. It's going to be a surprise. We're going to do it a little bit differently this year, in which we will be announcing the 5 to 7 finalists for each category, and that will happen sometime next week on Control Trends. And all I'll say is it's going to be a big surprise the way we're going to be doing it, and so really looking forward to that. So again, thanks to all the people that participated in the nomination process. This is going to be a really, really big event this year. So we're absolutely thrilled about it. And so once you're nominated, we'll be contacting you. The next steps after that will be, you have between now and I think the voting period ends, I think, the second week in December to plead your case as to why you should win in individual categories. And of course, Control Trends will provide you the venue to do that, as we did last year. So if you're nominated, you can send videos to us. You can make posts on Control Trends. Kenny and I will interview you, but we will we'll make all those things available to you. So, hey, congratulations to everybody that participated in that, and stay tuned to Control Trends next week for the big announcement of who the finalists are.
Oh, just to piggyback on that real quick, Eric, now's the time for these people that are nominated to energize their communities and really, truly take advantage of this opportunity to market your products. This is the part where there are no losers. Everybody gets a chance, equal playing ground. Whatever you submit, we gladly present to everyone. And this is a great time to communicate your messages, communicate your personnel, your heroes. Everybody has a chance to participate. Please do so.
Yeah, absolutely, Kenny. And I got to tell you, it was 28 different countries that participated in the nomination period so far?
34
countries. So this is not just a U.S. event anymore. It is worldwide. And there were several companies from overseas that got quite a bit. Clymote being one out of Ireland, which is, people in Ireland would probably argue that's a better thermostat than the Nest, as good as the Nest is. So it's exciting, Kenny, when you start thinking about people from all over the world, sort of coming together.
It sure is, Eric. And I mean, we're talking, countries, Macedonia. We're talking, Puerto Rico, New Zealand, Russia, Hong Kong, Mexico, Israel, Portugal, Denmark, Netherlands, India again, Thailand, Malaysia, Canada, Australia, Philippines. I mean, it is exciting. And they all have a different idea of, we're all doing the same thing, providing conditioned air and cooling and, chilled water. But it's just applied differently around the world. And the controllers that make that happen in these incredibly large buildings and these really sophisticated and sometimes simple applications, they go back to the drawing board and get the best controls for the buck. So it's a global product, it's a global economy, and it really is taking traction. It's exciting because over 1,000 people were involved in that nomination process.
No, it really is. And, as Mike said in his little segment about the blue chip and what different countries expect standard-wise is fascinating. So, Kenny, I tell you what, if you're, what I'd like to say is if you're an overseas company in another country that is an integrator or a manufacturer or distributor, hey, we'd love to hear about you. Send us your stuff on about your company. We'll post it on Control Trends, but we would love, if you want to shoot a short video, hey, if you want to introduce the show, Control Talk, we would love that. Send us a video on that. We would love to get as many different locations around the world as we can represented on ControlTrends.org. So thanks to all our overseas viewers.
All right, Eric, next up we have Forbes tracks demand response, and Honeywell thermostats are at it again. And this is the part 2 on our open ADR, our demand response information. Again, we're tracking this, and we hope that we're providing a service to the Control Trends community where if you don't have time to follow all these things, as you mentioned earlier, we might lose the thermostat part of the of the market simply because of the way it has to go to market, and that's a manufacturer to a utility or government entity. So it does bypass on the initial surge the distributor and the two-step distribution. But the demand response has a lot more components. As I was mentioning earlier, you're controlling the static pressure in the duct. Your VFD now becomes an important part of stepping down the pump, the motors for the pumps and the fans, the lighting, the dimming. Everything now becomes a part of what you do have in your product portfolio that you do sell. But you got to get involved and understand what the laws are. What the specifications are, not laws necessarily, but there are requirements, and in the biggest sense, there's opportunities to get certified and participate at a larger level than just your local community. So some people are going to change their business models based on this open ADR and actually getting involved, getting that skin in the game early, and then growing your business towards the most profitable or most marketable aspects of the ADR markets.
Well, the fact that Forbes magazine is covering this is fascinating. So again, Kenny, congratulations to you for tracking that. I mean, seems like you are just on ADR like a hawk. I mean, you're checking all sources out and reporting back to the Control Trends community on the stuff that seems like it's really, really germane. So congratulations, Kenny.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, next up, Johnson Controls Asset Tool. What makes the Johnson Controls Asset Tool so special? Now, again, if you haven't got involved in it, you haven't seen how it works. Basically, you start the project out like you do any other project, but it just keeps rippling through. Every single part of that project becomes incorporated into that one file, whether it's your specifications, your sequence of operations, your order sheet, your catalog pages, your submittals. Everything grows as you develop that project in the asset tool. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about it, because you have a lot of your contractors involved.
Well, our contractors love it. If you start looking at the cost of bidding a job, including the cost of estimating, ordering, and submitting on the job, if you incorporate that in, I mean, the asset tool really saves you a lot of time and money, allowing you to be more price competitive. So it's a really cool thing, and that was the first post when we had the videographer following us around at Johnson. That was the first video post we had with him, so we got that up right away. But yeah, check with your local Johnson distributor. Ask them to give you a demo on that asset tool. It is very, very cool. Okay.
All right, Eric, next up we have a nice post on social media. Why you must pay attention to social media to survive in the upcoming competitive markets in the world that we live in now. Tell us about that post.
Well, this was great. This was part of the Johnson Business Conference. And Kenny, as you pointed out about a week ago, what Johnson did was they really went out and tried to get speakers and concepts and ideas that would help our businesses all be more competitive and more prepared for the changes that are taking place. And, we talked about Generation Y. That was a big piece they had about the 50% of the people that are coming into the workforce that are Generation Y, what motivates them, and so on and so forth. So that was a key piece. The other thing that they came up with was they talked about social media. Hey, we cannot ignore this. We just cannot and survive. This video put together by a gentleman by the name of Eric Qualman, and was shown to us at the Johnson Control meeting. Explains it. Just watch the video. You will understand why this is so critical. And Kenny and I have been sort of tracking. I mean, I think none of us in the HVAC industry have really sort of figured out how to use social media yet. There's so many different avenues, everything from Facebook to LinkedIn to Twitter. You got all these different things, and what do you do? So Kenny and I have created an ongoing series called Social Media in the HVAC Industry. We have 4 episodes so far. And what we typically try to do with that is we try to get an industry expert, somebody from outside of our industry that maybe is an expert on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter. We typically try to get a manufacturer to a distributor and maybe a contractor. And then it's a dialogue about what people are working. So it's more an exploration. So we encourage you to check those out. And if you'd like to be involved in one of those, just leave your name and email and comments. We'd love to have you on. We might not be able to get to episode 5 done in October. We got so much going on, but November for sure, we will be coming right back on with using HVAC control, using social media in the HVAC automation controls industry. But check this video out. It is mind-blowing.
Sure is, Eric, and it's entertaining. And I'll tell you, but they make some predictions that are just frightening, and the usage numbers. You're talking billions. You're talking about 12 billion hits a day around the world. But we had a nice little segue to this. Where social media for corporations, small business, or startups is not just engagement. It's much broader than that, often including things like advertising, reputation management, customer service. So there's 5 recommendations, 5 areas to consider when you're doing your social media strategy. There's social listening for conversations about your company, competitors, and topics of interest. There's social conversation, finding and responding to conversations online, live. Social marketing, launching and running campaigns and promotions in social media. Social analytics, you can actually get the measuring tools to find out how the efficacy of your strategy. And finally, social influence, identifying and engaging with influencers that are relevant to you, your company, and your industry.
Well, Kenny, you were telling me a while back about was it NASCAR, right? They've sort of gotten a whole new way they're using social media. Can you tell us about that?
Well, it's just Google it. It's on YouTube. It's got 100,000 hits already. NASCAR was losing some of its fan base, and they didn't know why, because they thought they were doing everything right. And what they realized was that there's people twittering and they're texting, and there's all kinds of social media activity going on during the race. So what they did, I think they worked with Hewlett Packard, came up with a program based on that live inputs. They tracked the tweets going on, and they steered the coverage of the NASCAR race to those people that were actively tweeting about the tweeting about the NASCAR race. So what it was is you had this immediate impact. So as 1,000 people were watching this particular racer and talking about him, they focused their NASCAR coverage on that racer. If they were concerned about an argument or some kind of a developing, adversarial, running against each other in NASCAR, how that works, in the pits or whatever, as soon as that became an item that was being tweeted, they changed the coverage. So it was actually a live feeding of interest to coverage, and that's amazing. I mean, when you talk about social media, it doesn't get any more intense or effective than that. NASCAR's ratings went up because more people were getting to see what they wanted to see. They weren't watching a part of the race they didn't care about. They were focusing on what people were hot on, the topic, and they were able to go to
Kenny,
topic.
I got to tell you, that's amazing. And and our friend Marshall Thurber, the consultant we work with, we had Marshall on him. He's one of the probably the greatest of our time. I mean, he said speed is the new differentiator, right? And and you've got to be in touch with your customer, but getting that immediate feedback and then being able to adjust on the fly, I think, is a harbinger of things that we're going to see in our industry. And I think this gets to the whole social media thing. I mean, it's a tool, but used right, used properly, I mean, you're going to be able to provide customer service or make adjustments quicker than anybody else. You're not going to be developing a product that, I'm wondering when it's going to be where, you're starting to develop a product and you're getting tweets about this and adjusting your stuff based on the fly. So it's interesting, because when you listen to Mike Marston and those guys talk, I mean, I think those guys are, really in tune with stuff, and so it's going to be an interesting dichotomy, because you got these really big companies that are very, very stable and sort of risk-free in terms of they're going to stand behind the product, and then you got these smaller companies that are nimble and faster. It's going to be fascinating to see, Kenny, over the next several years, how that changes and how social media has an effect on it. But we really want to hear from our audience, the Control Trends community, about social media, how you're using it, what's working, what's not. We'd love to get you on one of the shows using social media and HVAC controls and the building automation controls industry. So, and we're using Google Hangouts for that, Kenny, which is, a social media phenomenon, right? I mean, it's like, so Hangouts, a live streaming platform where you can have people on the show, but you can have people that are watching it. They can be asking questions real time. So it's a cool concept. As a matter of fact, we're bringing up Belimo is going to join us later this month with a Belimo Tech Talk episode using using Google Hangouts. So thanks very much to Lisa Hickey and Mike Martinelli for putting that together. So we'll have more on that. That'll be near the end of October, which I guess is coming up. So we'll give you more information on that. But yeah, it's just a cool concept, Kenny. It is the thing that is, I think, going to really differentiate our, the people that win from the people that lose in our industry.
There's an incredible claim on that post. If you watch that Johnson Controls social media post, it says that the Fortune 500 companies in 4 years, some of them, 50 of them, aren't going to make it because they didn't effectively use the social media tools, and that's just scary. I mean, it makes me wonder what can we do better, faster too? You get that false sense of like, you got to move something or do something for the sake of doing something. But that's not really the point. The point is that you can pick your shots well. You can do it individually, personally, learn it at a rate that you're comfortable with, and then apply it where it makes sense in your business. And the big people, they have no choice. They've got to become masters of this social media, or they'll be the losers.
Well, a guy that I would highly recommend people reading, and you and I both read a lot of his stuff, Kenny, is Seth Godin. And Seth is a big-time advertising guy. He was a typical Street guy, and he will basically tell you, I guess his advice to most people is don't even bother with TV ads and stuff like that. It's so much more effective, so much more accessible using some of these social media things. So Seth Godin is a guy that you definitely want to check out.
All right, Eric, now we're going to transition into another big subject that we've been following on ControlTrends.org, and that is October is the National Cybersecurity Month. So it's appropriate to dedicate the top 5 information points of the week to cybersecurity. And this was another, again, it's like it's been, like a dog on a bone. The subject is getting so big and so important that you're watching it evolve onto federal level, with our government, the White House, the FBI, state level. Then you go back, Homeland Security. But please visit this, because if you want to know about cybersecurity, we were able to collect all this stuff and put it in one interesting post where we have the cybersecurity from President Obama has declared that the cyber threat is one of the most serious economic and national security challenges we face as a nation. I give Mark Peacock and Linkspring a lot of credit because they kind of like broke that bubble with a cyber pro. And then Mark was writing articles, and it got us all involved. And then Contemporary Controls comes out with they've got their VPN and their router to give us secure communications, because it's everybody's responsibility. But now we see it like just keep getting more and more interesting. We have the speech also from the FBI director of FBI International Conference on Cybersecurity 2013 at the Fordham University, New York. Then we have the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Protection Symposium in Washington, D.C. And that's where I really got thinking about this. The federal cyber funding is poised for dynamic growth with a cumulative value over $65 billion over the next 5 years. So our government, it starts out with that federal program. The president has an initiative. He's supported by an agency now. This initiative is going to be a source of revenue for a lot of companies that can, you have to get certified. This is one of the interesting things, is that this isn't, you have to have your cards laid out. You have to go get people, put some skin in the game, get somebody certified and whatever. And one of the companies that does that is the fourth post, and that's the ISC Squared. That's headquartered in the United States with offices in London and Hong Kong. But it's the International Information System Security Certification Consortium. And please visit the post and get more information. And the final post of that, the pivot points of the week, is the Smart Grid inaugural conference down in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, November 5th and 7th. So there's still time if you wanted to get involved in that. They're going to go into they're taking a deep dive into this cybersecurity involving the critical infrastructure cybersecurity. So they've got experts from the United States, from different departments and from different corporations. And if you go there, I'm sure it'd be worth your time, because it's going to give you the insights you need. If you did take this seriously and want to get involved professionally or from a business perspective, you're going to have to lay your cards down and go get it. So great post. Everybody should go see that post, and hopefully it'll be, and people want to add to it, that's great. Again, hats off to Linkspring and Contemporary Controls for getting our HVAC world a link to the cybersecurity and what we can do to protect our networks and our customers.
Speaking of cool events, our friend Jim Young from Realcomm, Daryl Smith from Microsoft, we got Cortex coming up. They're right at the heart of that. Tell our listeners a little bit about Cortex.
Okay, Eric, the Cortex 2013 is going to be held November 6th and 7th in Washington at the Microsoft campus in Redmond, Washington. This is really getting to be important. It's the corporate real estate and facilities are changing, and you need to be part of that conversation. In other words, there's an inverse marketing going on here where you used to take corporations relied on making a product and selling the product, making a solution service, selling it. Now you have the real estate folks, the people that have the actual space and the money to make the differences in the space. they're looking for a different response. They're looking for a master systems integrator style where they can handle integration at its highest level. We got, let's see, Daryl Smith sent out an email last week inviting everybody, talking about how you're going to see something you'd never see before. The Microsoft corporate campus has 500 million points being consumed and processed every 24 hours. And then Brad Sill, Director of Systems and Strategy for the International Real Estate Division of Walmart. Walmart is so powerful in this business, especially like LED lighting, it actually becomes the Walmart standard. In other words, they've done their homework so well and so profoundly that everybody else in the business kind of defaults to that standard, because if it's good enough for Walmart, it's good enough for us. So that's the kind of impact you're seeing here. We have a gentleman named Rick Werner from O&M Engineering out of Maryland. He told me he was going. And again, so this thing's a growing momentum, because our industry is changing, and the way we deal with our customer base is changing. So if we try to fit a square peg into a round hole, we're gonna lose this organization. So they're asking for a new set of basically service providers to come and visit them and see how they want their solution served up to them versus selling them something that's not quite doesn't fit their needs right. So it's a learning process, and you got to go there, be part of the conversation. It's a great opportunity for again, people inclined to do it will be rewarded handsomely, I'm sure, because you're going to get to meet your potentially new customers.
Well, yeah, we got Daryl Smith down at Realcomm in Orlando. Super, super nice guy. Very accessible, very knowledgeable. So be sure to check that out. Kenny, so that's it. Another week of Control Talk Now for the week ending October 20th, 2013. So it was a great week. Kenny, any closing comments before we hop off?
No, Eric, again, great week. Thank you very much. Doing a great job for the industry at large. And next week's going to be more information.
Yeah, going to be very exciting this week. Stay tuned to ControlTrends.org. Next week, we'll be announcing the finalists for the 2013 Control Trends Awards in a very, very special way. So that's it. I'm Eric Stromquist. He's Kenny Smyers. You've been watching Control Talk Now on ControlTrends.org.
Indeed.